Okay, so as I said, we're going to take a step back in time here. These two problems were problems that you saw on chapter 1 test. And some of you, we were looking at proportions there and solving things using proportions. And for some people that were having trouble with this, I said, draw out a diagram or a picture of what's happening. So, and we just had a simple picture like this. Here's the race. Here's the whole race. Or here's the whole walkathon. And it says the volunteers were 3/4 of the way finished. So I'm going to break this up into quarters. And when the volunteers were here, they had reached 4.5 kilometers. So right there is 4.5 kilometers, and they wanted to know how long the walkathon was. So we could look at this and say, okay, we're breaking it up into 3 sections there that they covered 4.5 kilometers. So we can figure out that each one of those sections is 1.5. So this has to also be 1.5. So if I add 4.5 plus 1.5, I get the total walkathon was 6 kilometers. So a diagram helped some people understand that, and we didn't even have to use proportions or anything like that to figure it out. This one, their ride, and they were 3/5 of the way finished, so we're going to break this one up into 5 sections, and at 3/5 it was 15 kilometers. So that means that each one of these sections was 5 kilometers long. So if we're at 15 and we wanted to know the rest of the race was 10 more kilometers, or a total of 25 kilometers. So in what we're doing today, we're looking at, this is titled Problem Solving. I noted as Problem Solving Investigation, PSI, drawing a diagram. And it's just getting you to think about what's happening and how you can visualize that, or how you can look at a problem and make a diagram to help you solve what's going on. So the first one, the kid is up on top of a ladder and he's 12 feet up from the ground and he drops a basketball. Well, if you're standing out here and you're holding that basketball and it drops, it's going to bounce back and forth like this, right? And keep going until it stops bouncing. The diagram that they have is they put that bouncing of the ball and they spread it out over time. And this is what happens with the ball. This is our time. That's not really that the ball is bouncing away from you, but after a period of time, the different heights of the ball. And that's kind of important to note, that you make that distinction between what's really happening with that ball and having this be spread out over time, the height of the ball. So we start out at 12, and it says that each time it bounces half the height. So this is going to be 6 feet. This is going to be 3 feet, 1.5, 0.75. The next one would be half of 0.75, which is 0.385. No, 365. Something like that. What is 0.75 divided by 2? Are you guys awake?
0.375.
Thank you. 0.375. Okay. So basically today is just looking at those looking at a figure and trying to create a visual of what's happening. We're going to look at case number 2. In case number 2, it says Mr. Garcia has driven 60 miles. So 60 miles, which is 2/3 of the way to his sister's house. Now, the way to his sister's house isn't a straight line, but that straight line is just representing from Mr. Garcia's house to his sister's house. If he's 2/3 of the way, what are you going to do with that line? How many different parts are you going to break it up into? 3. So we break it up into 3 different parts. At 2/3 of the way, he says he's 60 miles. So what is each one of these parts going to represent? How many miles? 30. So this is just like the problem that we did in chapter 1, where we're just drawing that line, breaking it up. And we know that he has 30 more miles to drive. His sister lives 90 miles away. If we look at mathematically translating this, 60 miles is, we know is equals 2/3 of the way to his sister's house. And we can set up an equation that way. How do we undo this multiplication by a fraction? We multiply by the reciprocal. 2 goes in there 30 times. Do you see that 30 represents the 30 sections? And we have 3 of those 30 sections to get that his sister lives 90 miles away. So it's just giving you a visual as to what's happening with this trip. Questions? Okay, so you're going to be doing case number 3 through 6 on page 309. And also on 310, the chapter review. Or I should say the mid-chapter review.
So we have to start working the diagram?
Yes, yeah. I would like to see your picture of what you're coming up with. You can do that in the green part of the page if you want. It can be a little picture, just something visual to show what they're talking about for how you're getting your answer.
Is this due Monday or tomorrow?
This is due Monday. Does anyone have any questions on any of the sections that we've covered so far since we've been off on? Is it going?
Miss Reed, I had a question on yesterday's homework.
Okay.
Hold on, let me find. Okay, so on our little sheet you let us use, like this sheet.
Hold on.
Thing. I don't know what to call it. Like the little diagram you let us use.
Yep. Okay.
It didn't talk about fluid ounces on it, and I was trying to do number 26, and I didn't know how because I didn't know how many fluid ounces were in milliliters.
Okay. So if you, that's kind of one of those things that they give you some information in the chart, but then there's also some kind of known information that you should know. How many ounces are in a cup?
3.
No.
16 ounces. Oh, wait, no, I don't know.
8 ounces. 8 ounces in a cup.
1 and 4.
So once we know the 8 ounces in a cup, then we can use that fact with the 1 cup is 236.59 milliliters.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I just looked it up.
That's fine too.
So Mrs. Reed, do we have to show a diagram or can we just show our work?
I'd like to see a picture diagram.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions? Yes.
I thought we only have to.
I'm
We
sorry.
have to go to 23 for yesterday's homework.
Did you have to do 23 for yesterday's homework? 23 was already done for you for yesterday's.
Yeah, but wasn't it 23?
Yesterday's homework was really confused on my part, and it's completely my part. I had been trying to figure out what order I wanted to teach these last few sections in. And so I had my ordered set, and I thought I was getting ahead of the game with putting the homework up there. And then I got completely confused thinking that I did 4-6 instead of 4-7. So yesterday's assignment should have been 1 through 14, I believe. And then 22 through 34. And 22 and 23 were all done for you. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are those the numbers for yesterday's homework
Yeah.
posted at?
They are correctly now posted in Google Classroom. So any other questions from any of the stuff? Are you guys good with what's been going on? Okay.
Good.
Yes.
Great.
It's good.
Okay. So that's all I have for today then. Is you have the PSI on page 309 and then the mid-chapter review or mid-chapter check on 310 due on Monday.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. We'll see you. Bye, guys. See you on Monday. Bye.
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 Hello.
Sorry, my computer died on me.
That's all right. Did you have any questions?
Is it okay if I still ask? Is it okay if I still ask my question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are the page numbers and problems we have to do all on an on a Google class assignment, or
Yes.
do we need to write them down?
No, they will be all in a Google Classroom assignment in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Bye. You too.